Could you go ahead and state your name and
Hi, I'm State Representative Valerie Hodges. I represent District 64, and I just want to say thank you to the chairman for calling this meeting, and I want to say thank you to all of the moms and grandmothers and all the parents that came today to express their concern over this. And I want to say thank you to Robert Kennedy Jr. for being here with that to present that data. Unfortunately, this has become a political issue, but it should not be political. We're talking about lives. And I pray that not one person is injured from the vaccine, but we know that that's not the case, but it's about choice. I'm a mom and a grandmother, and I have 3 kids in public school. And one of the things that we have seen throughout this entire COVID chaos is that what is voluntary today is mandatory the next day. So, and that should not be, because we've heard everyone saying, and many of my colleagues in this room, we've been discussing this for 10 months, a year, that this would never become mandatory. We could never mandate this. And yet here we are today in this room having this hearing. We've heard everyone saying this. But if we allow this rule to pass, members, that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing what we said could never happen, would never take place. I did just a survey, online survey, and with some other representatives, and 1,000 people took that survey, and 98.6% said, no, we do not want this to be mandated. This is a choice of the parents, between the parents and the child and the doctor. And were it not for the courts and our great attorney general and judges across the United States, many healthcare professionals would have already lost their jobs. And think about the gravity of that. These healthcare professionals that cared for these dying people who were in the hospital and risked their lives, is what they were told. They were risking their lives, but they did it anyway because of their love for people. They said, I choose not to take the vaccination, and if it means losing my job, I will. Now, think about the gravity of that. That we're taking away their choices as well. And we all heard the President of the United States say, we cannot mandate for anyone to take this COVID shot. And yet here we are. And that's very upsetting. Many parents have gotten their children vaccinated, and I support their right to do so. My girls told me, I've got one in 9th grade and one in 10th grade, and they both told me most of their friends have taken it and have had no problems. And thank God for that. But I support their right to do that. I also support the parents' rights who choose not to do that because of the data that Mr. Kennedy presented, because of the long-term effects, the potential long-term effects, and there's no long-term studies. People are deciding to wait. They want to wait for themselves or they want to wait for their children. So the last thing I want to say that I'm concerned about, should this pass, and I plead with the governor not to overrule the vote. Should this committee decide not to let this pass, I plead with the governor not to overrule it, because we're risking. It is a risk. And how many of you would say, I'm going to send out 10 kids across the street, and it's a risk, but we're going to say maybe only one might be hurt. But you wouldn't do it. You would say, no, we're going to make sure the risks are not there. And what we saw on the data, it is a risk. And so you look at the COVID mobile units that were sent out to the schools, and you say, well, that could never happen, that they could vaccinate the wrong child without parental consent. But it did happen in Jefferson Parish, and there's a lawsuit about that. And there will be many more if this is allowed to go on. So I just want to say thank you all for being here, for your prayerful consideration about this. We're talking about something that will impact decades in the future of these children's lives. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative.